Good morning, friends. Welcome to our wonderful book study of The New Path by Swami Kriyananda. My name's Sanjan. I think you all know me. So welcome to this wonderful week. Let's begin with a prayer. Closing the eyes, feeling deeply as you can, or imagining, thinking, willing that the Masters, that God is with us, within us, around us, and that we as a group are magnetizing our own love for the divine and their love for us. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters of self-realization, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, beloved Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, and our friend and guide Swami Kriyananda, saints of all religions, we lovingly bow at thy feet. O beloved Master Paramahansa Yogananda, beloved Swamiji, guide this satsang, fuse us with your spirit, fill us with your light, open our hearts and minds to your wisdom. Introduce us much more deeply than ever before to our love of God. We are your children, your disciples. Bring us home to thee. Om peace. Amen. And let's have a little song from Swami Kriyananda just for a couple of moments. So many steps to turn the music on and off. Beautiful. Let's just sit for a moment and just absorb that for maybe 30 seconds. So, good morning, friends, once again. So, here we are, chapter 17. It finally draws to a close, Mount Washington Estates. I was just figuring out, looking at how much is left on my Audible, hours left to the end of the new path, and I figured it out. I think I got it right, but I think it's almost 2 years if we do 10 minutes each class. It's almost 2 years before we finish the class. So who knows? I don't know. I'm sure we'll take breaks in that time. I don't know whether we'll start to do more or less. Who knows what happens? But anyway, we've come to the end of Mount Washington Estates. And finally, thankfully, I'm very grateful that we are back on Audible. And here we shall continue on with this chapter. Okay. Well, as usual, there's so many things that we can pick up on in this book. And this chapter, we've been looking at the breadth, the depth, the expansive nature of uh, Yogananda's mission and life in America leading up to this point, which is very near to his death, only a few years away. And Swami Kriyananda arrives. The thread that I want to start to pick up on actually is the moment when Master went into a very deep samadhi in 1948. And I pick up on this because actually what was very interesting is that before I even was playing this out loud, I was reading it, and in my YouTube feed came up an actual talk on the 1948 Samadhi and that Master did. And what it was actually it was some music mixed in with, I think it was Miralini Mata sharing about this time in 1948. So I don't know if I typed it in at some point or played it a while ago, but anyway, it was coming up in my feed. I really felt like it was Master kind of saying, you know, pay attention to this. So, and really Miralini was talking about this moment where in the summer of 1948, that Master mentally called his disciples one evening. He was mentally calling them, and Miralini Mata felt that she had to go to the office where Master was, where he was. So she goes up to the room, and other disciples start coming in. So he's not told them anything. He's just mentally put the call out. And then they come into this room, into this office. Master's laying on the sofa, and he's saying to them, Divine Mother is calling me. I don't know whether she's going to take me or what's happening. And then he goes into a deep samadhi. I mean, just imagine being with Master at this moment. It's just incredible to think of. And so he goes into a deep samadhi, and it lasts throughout the night. And in this samadhi, Divine Mother lifts the final veil for him and shows him the keys to the universe, to the cosmos. So just imagine this. He's been going into samadhi as a child, doing Hong So and other practices. He gets his true samadhi with that touch of cosmic consciousness with Sri Yukteswar at 16, 17, 18. I can't remember the exact age, but I think it was young. And then he stayed another 10 years with Sri Yukteswar, 6 months into this. So he's had samadhi then, he goes into samadhi at different times. He's had previous lives where he's been in samadhi, he's an avatar. And here at this samadhi, the final veils are being lifted and all creation is being shown. I mean, let's close the eyes and just really tune into the depth of realization that our Guru was given. This was incarnations of samadhis, of coming back. Swamiji actually thought Master was Jesus. He felt that inwardly. William the Conqueror. But here is Paramahansa Yogananda, 1948, given another deeper samadhi, and all the keys of the universe are shown. And then also just take a moment. We obviously don't go into samadhi ourselves, but just more vibrationally than mentally, but just tuning in vibrationally to the different points in our lives where we have a deeper understanding, a deeper closeness to the divine, a deeper appreciation and right attitude towards our karma. And then also meditate on the fact that one day we will go into samadhi. That is our birthright. It's our goal. It's our actual destiny. It cannot fail to happen. And we have a guru helping us, a line of masters. We have Swami Kriyananda, also a master, guiding us, helping us to get to that point. We have come very far ourselves. And just feel Divine Mother with us now as she was with Master, obviously not in the same capacity. Our realization is not anywhere near as deep right now, in this moment. But just feel Divine Mother, feel Master, the Gurus, Swamiji blessing us, touching our hearts, inspiring us on, filling us with their light. And feel that Divine Mother is truly our mother. We are her children. And let's ask her to help us to truly become her child in body, mind, and soul, in thought, word, and deed. Om, peace. Amen. Miralini Mata also mentioned in this talk that it reminded her of, I have to remember the chapter, I think it was chapter 11 in the Bhagavad Gita, and obviously this would be Self-Realization Fellowship's version, but where Krishna shows Arjuna the keys and the makeup to the universe in his great visions. So very interesting. And the other thing that's just of interest to mention about this is that she said that Master afterwards, if you've seen the movie Awake, The Life of Yogananda, you hear Miralini Mata say about Master going into these deep samadhis. You hear her kind of say, what's it going to be like? Is Yogananda always going to be in this state? And from listening to this talk, it seems actually in the movie, it seems like it's after Master comes back from India, but actually it seems like it's after this particular point in the 1948 Samadhi. And so because she says, because Master picks up on this thought, seemingly, so Miralina Mata says of the other disciples, is Master always going to be in this state? And he says, I'm always going to be in this state, not that others will know this. So very interesting. 1948, this is summer. Swami arrives, September 1948. So he's in this constant state of deepest of samadhis that he's ever experienced as Swami Kriyananda enters the scene. Wow, I mean, and then also what comes to mind is just that Swamiji mentions this in this chapter, that oftentimes towards the end of the life of a great master, you know, his deepest disciples come. And I don't want to, it's kind of strange to say it like that, but maybe it's not necessarily the deepest, but those that are important to the work in taking it out, or maybe they are the deepest, I don't know. But um, anyway, it's very clear that Swamiji and others are incredibly deep souls. And so, towards this end of his life, giving them enough time to tune in to Master, to tune into his teachings and mission, enough to be with him and to draw um, the real honey, the real nectar of the teachings. And it reminds me of this talk of when Swamiji was with Anandamoy Ma, and one of the comments that she made after their many times of connecting was that Kriyananda could come and he was like the bee and would go to the nectar of the flower, or and so just like this idea that many disciples had been around Anandamoy Ma and couldn't take quite as much and as deeply as Swami Kriyananda could. He came right in and went into the heart of the vibration of Anandamoy Ma, and that's indeed what he was doing with Master. So this is a very special moment and something to really reflect upon. The other moments to just kind of think about, a very interesting comment that's always stuck in me as I've reread this book. It's, I sent a few bad ones in the beginning, she told him during that ecstasy, to test your love for me. But now I am sending you angels. And this is the line that always interests me. Whoever smites them, I shall smite. And I always wondered what that meant, because, you know, Swami Kriyananda went through many tests and challenges, and it's just an interesting thought, not necessarily one to really ponder on. It's not anything for our own development, but it always just stood out there for me. And then, as we've kind of mentioned before, again, so much I could say, but how Master had opened up the teachings of the West to America. Some other interesting facts, just as an aside, that Master did, I think many of you will know this that are watching, but he also designed the gear stick system in the modern automobile car. He kind of came up with this plan. I think he must have given it to Oliver Black, who was involved in the automobile industry. I think it was in Michigan, but I don't know those details for sure. But Master's so creative in his thinking, so practical. He's coming up with this, the lid, the top to the toilet seat. So you have the seat that you sit on, that top that goes down. This was Master's invention and creation, amazingly. So everyone in this country and probably the world now is impacted by Paramahansa Yogananda. So I don't know where the details of this are, but I know that this has been shared by multiple people. An interesting fact. So it's no surprise that he impacted every level of kind of the Eastern teachings, that there is just this huge following of yoga, Indian study, mantras, kirtans, all of these things that are kind of becoming more and more popular, more and more mainstream. I was very pleased to see that the Hollywood actor Will Smith did a short video. I can't remember if it was Facebook or YouTube. I think it was YouTube. I think I shared it at the time I came across it, which was some months ago. But he was opening up self-realization fellowships, so masters um, Bhagavad Gita, and he had made notes about things that were standing out of his page, out of the pages that struck him. So every area is being affected deeply. Steve Jobs with Autobiography of a Yogi. I mean, even now we see it. George Harrison, all of these different ways in which Yogananda is affecting and changing the course and the culture of not only the United States, the world. Just imagine he has been affecting the planet in various ways. As I mentioned before, Master Swamiji, sorry, had said that he felt that Master was Jesus. And I think for many of us, we feel it too. If it's brand new for you, this thought, and a little startling, maybe meditate on it and go away and think deeply about it and tune into Master. But just to say, this would be Master as Jesus, the three wise men. Master did say this. Master, the three wise men, Babaji, Lahiri, Sri Yukteswar. Master, William the Conqueror, really changing the way that the whole of Europe, which was really the heart of the world, England, Europe, was governed and ruled, an important part in consciousness. And then later, as the King of Spain, Swamiji, his son, and however many other lives as Krishna and Arjuna, their master Arjuna, Krishna, Babaji. I mean, just to think that such a way is being guided on this planet truly by our line of masters. Now, it's important not to grab an ego about that. My guru is, the most powerful guru. Certainly we don't want to be thinking that. We might personally feel a sense of deep love and an inner feeling of the greatest guru because he's my guru. But so there's a fine balance. I really feel that, because here is Master and our line of masters, line of gurus, changing the course of the world. When it says Babaji and Jesus are really responsible for East Babaji, West Jesus, I guess really it's all the same in the big scheme of things. But just they really do have it under control. So if it's Jesus, is Master involved in that? Is it Master Babaji? I mean, just profound to even contemplate. Not so worthy that we have to kind of get caught up and lost in that, but it is worth really remembering that when we are sharing our mission to the world, when we're doing our little jobs in serving, we're doing our morning sadhana, that we are part of a wider mission that is going out and connecting with a bigger picture and steering the course of life. Of course, every spiritual path, every guru, every saint, every master is indeed an important part. So in the scheme of things, as I've been reading the Whispers from Eternity, it kind of says all of the things that we do in the end amount to nothing. And so in the end, it is God, finding God and being God and awakening to God. So we have this, but so beautiful to tune into, isn't it? Just the beauty of it. What else did I just want to? And just, here's the other thing that we've just got a few moments to think about, but, Master's so important that a very big importance is that he's creating this world brotherhood communities, that he's wanted to do this. He's wanted to create educational how to live schools. And that, importantly, that it isn't just about what he didn't do, but the things that he may have started that just the culture, that time wasn't ready to really integrate and adopt. And how true, even for Swamiji, for what were we able to do, what was Ananda able to do at that time, what does he want us to do? And remember, Swamiji was really so attuned to Master. I think sometimes people get, I hear comments like, it's all about Swami Kriyananda. It's not many comments, but I do hear comments, it's about Swami Kriyananda and not Yogananda. And it's a very subtle point. I mean, Swami was so in tune with Master. He just had lived every day, every moment as best he could, tuning in to Yogananda, meditating, thinking on what Master's mission was. We've heard earlier in this chapter, he was meditating, or maybe it was the previous chapter. I think it was earlier this chapter, but just he would meditate on Master's mission. I mean, how many of us, it was this chapter, we did it just a couple sessions ago. How many of us tune in and meditate on what's my mission from Master? How often do we do that? Swamiji had really tuned into that. So when we tune into Swamiji, we're really tuning in to Master. Yes, you could focus on Master, of course, and as you should, but still, and in some ways it will feel much more direct. But Master was always thinking, and we know this, he was always thinking way into the future, which is what Swami would do, thinking way into the future. And there has to be a progression and an expansion. It can't just be of this moment when Master was alive, although so important for us to tune into that time and to Master. All I'm saying is it's powerful for us to tune into Master and indeed Swamiji. For those that might think, I don't think necessarily anyone watching, but just for those that might feel that Swamiji is distilling down of Master's vibration, it is not the case. Okay, friends, we have come to the end of the chapter, the end of the class. Next week, First Impressions, chapter 18. My goodness, we're going at a snail's pace, and thanks for being with me. Have a great week. Enjoy this chapter. You kind of see we do a few pages. So if you want to, it's not actually a long chapter. I don't know that we'll get through it all. Maybe we will, because it's short. It might be quite good to have a longer talk. Let's see. So maybe read the whole chapter of First Impressions. If you don't get to read it, we'll be playing the audio next week. Have a wonderful, blessed week, and Jai Guru. Jai Swamiji.